Alhamdulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First, inshallah, we want to welcome you guys who came. There's supposed to be more people coming, but they'll come late, and so at that moment we'll like the salam.
You left something in the office for me?
For you, like what?
Nothing?
Somebody said something.
No, she said she left something.
That way of life, and some of the parents don't understand all of that. They don't see all of that. They know, but they don't see the heavy dangers of it, and they have a hope that, hey, just because we're Muslim, they're gonna stay Muslim, and everything is okay. They know it's a challenge. They know it's difficulties that their children are facing, but they're just hoping that they'll stay culturally Muslim because we are. But at some point, they have to realize, no, we have to do more. And alhamdulillah, now the opportunity has come, because maybe there weren't available resources at one point. But now the resources are available, so the parents have to say, hey, we have to do a better job with the protection of those who we love that are dear to our hearts, our children. And similarly, those who have decided to accept this way of life in this country. They grew up in other ways of life, Christianity in its various different forms, and that's the majority of this country, whether practicing or not practicing. But they chose to abandon that way of life and what this society was putting forth for Islam. So you have those two sides, and so then they have children. Then that group of people have children. And there was a time where they didn't have sufficient resources throughout the United States, but it's growing now, alhamdulillah. They're becoming more resources. And what do I mean by resources? I mean by Islamic knowledge, meaning there are more students of knowledge. People who are dedicating a part of their life, or maybe all of their life, to learn the religion and to spread the religion of Islam. Because everyone has professions. Some people, I want to be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a gynecologist. I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. People have various careers. And some people have dual careers. They have dual careers. And if we look at a lot of the great scholars in Islam, and we talk about the Islamic scholars, they had those dual careers: businessman and scholar, doctor and scholar, physician, engineer, inventor and scholar. But within the last 100 years, that has in some way started to go down. And in some countries, in some areas, people, they just pick and choose where they want to go. And in particular areas, they looked at Islam as it's the other option, because once they became conquered and occupied by the non-Muslims, right? For example, you have countries like Pakistan that they were invaded by non-Muslims, and most of the Muslim countries were, right? And so when they invaded, they were conquered by these non-Muslim people. They started to do what? Adapt their way of thinking, adapt their way of living, adapting their way of values and morals. So they no longer value Islamic morals and values. They value what the kuffar said is more important. But they hold on to Islam culturally. And so when people start to, and when they start to see, how can I advance? Because when people are looking at getting out of a tight situation, how can I advance? Is through going through the system that the non-Muslims are in place. So if I want to have good wealth and things, I have to go their way. So they start adopting their ways, and going to their schools and following their ways of thinking, until they think that Islam is what? Not important. So once they started doing in some of these countries and Allah knows best, is that when a child is born and then they start seeing the child develop, the children that had high IQs, that they seen were very intelligent and smart, they'll push all those children to be doctors and engineers, all those high qualified paying positions. And the one that's, he's not smart, he's slow and not the brightest, we'll put him in a duksi. We'll put him in the madrasa. We'll put him here. That's what they did in some of those places. So what did they do? They devalued Islamic scholarship. So instead of putting the brightest kid in the madrasa, they put what they considered the least brightest kid in the madrasa. So they devalued Islam. So we have to do something with him. So we'll put maybe he'll finish the Quran and be a imam in the masjid, lead the prayer. So they devoured it. And so they've taken those same ideologies now when they come to the shores of America and UK and Canada, and they use those same principles, and they think of Islam as like, we're Muslim, right? But Islam is not so important to live in our life. We just need to make sure we pray 5 times a day and have a place we can gather and have our weddings and dances and things like that. That's all that they needed. All right? And they didn't value Islamic knowledge and scholarship. The only thing was enough for them. Can you read the Quran and lead the prayer? That's what they thought Islam was, Islamic knowledge was, and that's as far as an imam needs to be. A lot of them. So they have a wrong understanding. They wealthy, a lot of them, but they have the wrong understanding. So they have dunya wealth, but not spiritual wealth. And you'll find amongst their children now, a lot of their children, and they don't know it, they're not even Muslim. They come to the house with them, they come to the celebrations, and that's it. But they really inside, they're not Muslim. Some of them are atheists. It's not even that they accepted a whole Christianity or something like that. They're atheists. Some say they only believe in God. But when they're around their family, they do the cultural things. Because the families are not asking the questions, are about religion. They don't talk about it themselves. They don't know themselves. But they believe what they believe, but they don't know what their children believe. And now their children are, having children, so they have grandchildren, so they don't even know they have a whole wonder. Oh, what happened? What happened? And this is a reality of what's going on. So we want to bring back, alhamdulillah, now we have in our country, in America, in other places, we have people who have chose those paths. We have a lot of people, alhamdulillah, that have studied the religion and they have dual degrees. They're a scholar in here and a scholar there. And this is what we want to promote here. So we want to provide you with the skills to at least know the foundation of your religion. One, for your own self, so you know what you're about. And you can make proper decisions in your life, or whether you want to continue to follow this way of life or not. You have an informed, you can make an informed decision because you know. It's not just I'm just following this because my parents was like this. No. We can't do that forever. They have to come to a point where I'm Muslim because this is what I want to be. Alright? So, and the only way you're going to know that if you truly know what Islam is. That's number one. Number two, that if you learn this religion and you choose this as your way of life, you understand the foundations, that you can also teach your families. And those people that you love that are close to you, your friends. And as you go into your schools and as you go into your careers, whatever they may be, that whoever come in contact with you, they see what Islam is through you. Through your good behavior, through your good actions. And not only just through your actions, but your actual speech. That you invite people to Islam. Because a lot of times, you have people now that they in contact with Muslims every day and don't even know it. Especially amongst the men that are working in certain fields, they don't even talk about Islam. Why you don't talk about your religion? They see you go off and pray and this, and so then they know you Muslim. But why you never tell people about Islam? They never invite the people to Islam, and that's all it takes sometimes, just a simple invitation. Would you like to be Muslim? And the person, yeah, how do I sign up? Simple. Really, I have met several people that they've encountered Muslims and this and that, and and they just say, I want to be Muslim. I've always wanted to be Muslim for a long time. And I know but the person never asks them. So sometimes the person's just waiting for you, because they don't know the process. They're just waiting for the invitation. And that is what da'wah is inviting people, calling people to the haqq, the truth. And that truth is what? La ilaha illallah. That is the ultimate truth. That is what we want to call people for. That's so when we talk about the term da'wah, when you see the Milwaukee Islamic Da'wah Center, what is da'wah? It's an open invitation to Islam. An open invitation to Islam. So, and leadership. We need future leaders. We need people that can lead now. We need young leaders. And we need these young leaders to be the next leaders. I'm not going to be alive forever. I can't do what I do forever. So we need, who's going to be next? Who's going to be the next person that's going to help the people? Lead the prayers, give the khutbah, teach the classes. Who's going to do that? So we need people that could do that. We need people that could teach the sisters. We need people that could teach the brothers. We need people to teach the whole community. Because in our condition here in this city, we're in a sad state, a sad situation. It's sorry to say, but it is. It's just my observation. Since the time I've been, we're in a very sad state. But we can change that, alhamdulillah. And that's the goal, that we can create leaders that can not just lead here, the Muslim community in Milwaukee, but through Wisconsin, throughout the United States. Allahu Alam. The sky's the limit, as they say. Alright? So this is what we want to help you to develop those qualities that you need. Because some people say, well, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that. Okay, let's help you develop those things. And then you have your own personal interests that you might like and desire. Your own career path that you want to do. So how can we help you get those skills even now? So you can see, maybe you really don't want to do that. Maybe you think that's what you want to do, but maybe you really don't want to do it. So maybe you should start, we can help you get into learning about that now and practicing and seeing what it's like. So maybe if a person says, I want to be a veterinarian, okay, we'll get you hooked up with a veterinarian, right? And you can shadow them and be working in the office and see, what do veterinarians do? And perhaps you say, you know what, I really don't want to do that. I thought I did. Right? At least you'll know. Alright? I want to be this, I want to be that. And so you get hooked up with the people and you can see what is it that they actually do. And if it's something you want to continue to do, you learn it and you have that skill. And perhaps you learn that skill and then you decide later you don't want to do it, but you still have a skill that you achieved in your life. Right? But you have options. So we want to open up the options for you, open up the doors for you, that you can have options in your life and you can choose what you want to do in life. I know a brother that he's a psychologist now, right? But he was an engineer. Why did he become a marriage and family therapist? Because he saw that there was a need in the community for that. So he left his job making a whole lot of money to make less money to do what? Help the community. So that's another thing that I want you to think about too. How is it whatever I want to do in life, will that also benefit the Muslim community? Or how can I make that benefit the Muslim community? Not just my own personal self, not just my own personal wealth, but how can it benefit the community? Rather, direct service, like the brother, he became a marriage and family therapist and counselor, things that can help people with their family issues and psychological issues and things of that nature, right? Or, but also sometimes people might have other wealth. Okay, I'm using my wealth to help establish Islamic institutions and promote Islamic scholarship in school, right? So that's another way, so maybe you do just go after a job or a career that's going to bring you a lot of money. But is it just so that you could live, like a king, like a queen, and bling bling and balling out of control? Huh? Or is it that I want to use my wealth, what? For the sake of Allah. You know, it's okay to have nice things. Islam doesn't say look shabby and broke or whatever, right? You can look nice if that's what you choose, right? You want to look nice and have nice quality things. You can afford them. It's not how you're not harming yourself, right? It's okay to have that, you know, but don't be extravagant and wasteful. So don't go overboard. So be balanced. Be balanced in your approach, right? So it could be either way. Whether you find a career that directly help the Muslims, we need more Muslim teachers. We need more Muslim teachers. Right now, the schools that we have that a lot of Muslims go to, a lot of teachers are not Muslims. So what does that bring a lot of times? That bring in another segment of people teaching our children values that are contradictory to Islam. So because teachers, sometimes the kids look up to their teachers more so than they even do their parents at times. They may look up there to their teacher more so than their parents. And sometimes it's because what? The parent is working and the child is with the teacher, what? 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. A good portion of their day. And they're educating them and playing with them and having fun with them. So they start to look up to them. So if the teacher says, you know, this or this, they might want to be like their teacher. And they'll adopt those ways. So if that teacher is not the appropriate teacher, Islamically, then we lose another generation. Or they struggle. Because parents are saying this, but my teacher said, you know, they're struggling inside. So it's not, you know, everyone is on the same side, and that causes turmoil and controversy, because you're thinking this way and that way, so you caught in between, so to speak. Which way should I go, right? So we need more teachers. Okay, we have a whole lot of doctors. I'm not saying don't become a doctor, right? But what do we have now? Now we have doctors. Where's our Muslim hospitals? Right? We have a lot of doctors working in other hospitals. Where are the Muslim owned hospitals, Muslim owned ran hospitals? We have some clinics, okay, but those big beautiful hospitals y'all go to that people doing all these surgeries and deliveries and all, why we can't have that? Why we can't go into the hospital when the door's open, we hear the dua going off, you know, and in the background there's some Quran playing, right? Why we can't go into the big hospital like that? Where the people in there, we know all the food is halal being served to the patients. Right? The doctor, before he starts his surgery on you, Bismillah. Right? When you under anesthesia, you don't know what the non-Muslims said to you. Hope they're not saying it, you know, they could, you know, they have, you know, most of, alhamdulillah, the doctors, they have a code of ethics, right? But sometimes you don't know. But wouldn't it be better though, someone that's pronouncing Allah's name over you before they begin some procedure over you? Be better. Making dua for you. This would be a better situation, right? So how can we don't have that? So we have to start thinking, you know, about those things and spreading this type of thought amongst your peers, so that we can save ourselves, save our future generations. And you can, and not to say that that's what it's all about, being labeled of what you did, but the question is, what have you done for the community? It's like we read about certain people that have you know, invented this, done this great work. So what mark were you making in the world? Right? And not so much so that people are going to praise your name. You just do the work. And people will remember you. You don't have to be looking for it, but people will remember you. And most important, Allah will remember you. Allah will mention you. Allah will mention you. So these are the most important things that we have to look at. So how to become scholars both Islamically and in our secular world, and be leaders Islamically and for everyone, because we should be the example for all people. Right? We hear the stories that Islam, we look at places like in the Asian world where they're all Muslim countries, and it just was based on the character of the person that they interacted with. Do we have that type of character? where people say, oh, they're different, but not different in a bad way, in a good way. And what makes them different? He found out it's Islam, and the whole groups and groups of people accept Islam just based on how you dealt with them. But nowadays, the person don't see the action between a Muslim. What's the difference? We acting just as ignorant, just as foolish as the next person. How? But that's not what our religion calls for. Anyway, let me pause for a minute.